we were talking about drugs, and like on any drug, you can find the corresponding like Reddit, and all the biggest enthusiasts of that drug are there. And like, it's people talking about like cocaine, like just I mean, they're excited. They're amped up. They love cocaine. There's one
high energy, low body fat.
There's one called DPH, and DPH, diphenhydramine, is Benadryl. And apparently if you take a huge dose of Benadryl, like these people are just like filling their entire palm with like 700 milligrams of Benadryl and being like, I'm going to go to a scary place, boy. And like, and apparently the high off of taking a shit ton of Benadryl is one of the scariest, most dissociative things you can experience. And like, all of them will be like some of them will be like, I don't want to be addicted to this. This is the worst drug in the world. And they all have, like you talked about with ayahuasca, like the similar experiences. They have an experience where like they say they take enough Benadryl, enough DPH that they totally dissociate. They're confused. They don't understand who they are or what they are or how to move or the perception of time. They say things look staticky. And all of them, when they take a critical mass amount, talk about seeing the Hat Man. And it's a shadowy man made of static who is just a shadow, and he's always wearing a wide-brimmed hat. And like they'll all be like,
Drifter knows this guy.
Drifter does know this guy, I bet. He knows the Hat Man. But it is, some of these comments are so fucking funny. Like they'll talk about their experience being high in a ton of detail. And someone who's really high on weed, they're like, I watched this movie. It was hilarious. It was great. Someone who was writing about being drunk. Oh, I got a little drunk and me and my friends had a grand old time. This guy's like, all right, I took all of them and then I forgot I had taken as many and I took more. And then I started to dissociate and I couldn't feel anything anymore. It felt like I was floating on my couch. And then I got this horrible fear for a couple hours, knowing that there were other people in the room all talking mean about me. And there were all these people in the room screaming at me and telling me I was evil. And then an hour after that, the Hat Man showed up. And it's like, this is awful. This is the least fun sounding drug. And you don't even get a good buzz. You're just terrified for like 5 hours. And then some of these people are like addicted to being scared. And so they were giving tips on how to get even more scared. They're like, you know what you should do? Take about 750 milligrams of Benadryl, then get some DXM, combine that with it, and you're going to see some wild stuff, my friend. And they're like, awesome, I'll try that next time. And it's horrible. I can't imagine. No one on this sub is like, it's so much fun. They're all talking about like, and they post pictures of like people without faces that don't make sense. Like just things that don't make sense. It's very disconcerting. I can't just do regular drugs, you moron.
Regular drugs.
Just do real drugs. Don't dose yourself on Ben. And apparently it like makes alcohol look like a bitch compared to what Benadryl does to your liver and kidneys at those doses. Like, also it gives you Alzheimer's. And so like it gives you early onset dementia. And so like some of these guys are like I found 5 searches last night of symptoms of dementia on my phone.
5 searches, I found them.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, don't do Benadryl, kids, unless you're trying to, get rid of allergies. It's a microdose. Get rid of your allergies. Yeah.
Benadryl and cough syrup, right? I think are 2 over-the-counter things that people will abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people get real fucked up on the cough syrup. I think I don't think you can buy that. Like Robitussin, can you buy that over the counter? You have to be like 21, right?
Right.
I think you have to be an adult to buy that stuff because you can like make meth out of it.
Oh,
I feel like you're talking about Sudafed.
Oh, you're
maybe
right.
that.
Sudafed. Yeah. I don't know. I've never actually taken that.
Oh no,
I don't think
I
so.
keep that around. I went to the doctor for whatever, flu or cold or something, like 2 years ago, and she was great. I've learned this term emotional labor. Are you guys familiar with this?
I think so.
So most broadly, emotional labor is focused on like what moms do, right? But also a nurse does some emotional labor. A doctor does some emotional. When I had that strep throat, the doctor looked at it and really ratified. I'm looking for a better term, but like acknowledged my pain. She's like, "Ooh, I bet that hurts." And it's like, "Oh, thank you. I've been suffering so much."
Yeah.
And like those words meant almost as much to me as the amoxicillin did. And anyway, so I go to the doctor and she's like, "Yeah, you get this drip and this pain and it hurts to do this." And I'm like, "My gosh, like you're describing my symptoms better than I described them to you." And she's like, "We're going to get you Sudafed, the good shit that you have to, ask
Mhm.
for behind the counter." And that's when I learned when Sudafed became illegal and they like, not illegal, but regulated, and they use your driver's license to make you buy it. They put something else called Sudafed on the shelves that is a bullshit, ineffective counterfeit. So if you think they sell Sudafed and it's out there in the aisles, that's not the Sudafed. No. You got to go back to the pharmacist and be like, "I want the real Sudafed, the stuff you make drugs out of," and then they'll give you the effective stuff.
It's a good pro tip.
Yeah.
Next time I want to get high.
Zach says you need your ID to buy Sudafedrine. I'm not good at pronouncing new words. And I forget what the other stuff is called. That's not what I'm calling real Sudafed. But it has another name that like these drug names don't mean anything to me. They're all like fake words.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know if I ever need to make. Is it meth? It is meth, right?
Yeah, it's meth. Yeah, you can.
I thought so.
I don't want any of those scary drugs. Well, I guess what I consider a scary drug might be different than other people. I don't want anything that I definitely don't want to overdose on cough medicine. I know that for sure.
Well, of course not.
Like it sounds awful.
Zach gave us the two things. Sudafedrine is the real Sudafed. Pseudoephedrine is the fake shit. That had to be have done on purpose.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
It is easy to fuck that up. It is easy to like look at the pseudoephedrine and be like, "Wait, is that the real one? Is it? Which one did Woody say?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to ask for it behind the counter, right? Like if you want the real stuff.
Yeah, and they'll take your driver's license because they regulate how much you can buy. So there's some sort of schedule. It's enough that a normal person won't bump into the height and into the limit.
Yeah, I don't think so either. You'd have to have a real serious cough. Yeah. I don't know. I that's how easy is it to make meth? Like in my head, I'm like, that's like chemistry, but then everything I know is from either Breaking Bad, really. But it seems like the people who do it don't look very bright.
I agree. And I don't know how much. I've learned too much from Breaking Bad too. Is that percent purity even a thing? Is there better or worse meth? My guess is that you could make great meth if you just cut it less and didn't want to make as much money.
Or maybe
my guess
better
is that
ingredients to begin with, like more pure stuff. I got a feeling that maybe they settle for something a little more scary because
I'm doing it a different way. I have a feeling that like they make great shit and then mix in a bunch of sugar or something so that they can sell twice as much.
I think so. This is my bullshit. I was in Amsterdam a few months ago, and I think I accidentally did meth. And this is what I learned afterwards, that there are some drugs that are pretty complicated and pretty expensive to make. The more complicated and expensive the drug, the more likely it is that you're going to get some other compound that is either mimicking the effect of the drug or it's just way cheaper, and they'll mix it with a drug. They'll cut it with a drug. So we were looking for MDMA, and we got, I don't know if it was meth, but it was some amphetamine. But apparently MDMA is a difficult drug to make. My understanding is that when it comes to like amphetamines, so like methamphetamine, that it's relatively cheap and relatively easy. So I don't know if there's like a percent purity. I think it all comes down to like you just have to like look at the cost of stuff. So if somebody's trying to sell you a pill and there's like $100 pill, there might be a decent chance that that pill is like fake, or people will like fake stuff to make more money. But when it comes to like a tab of LSD, is like $5 and that lasts you all day. Like there's not much reason to like fake a drug. You're not making much money so much. That was like the rough guideline. Your mileage may vary with this, but this is more or less what I've heard in terms of like some drugs are pretty easy to make. Amphetamine stuff is like pretty easy. Pharmacies make it. A ton of people can make it. But like more expensive, like designer drugs and stuff can get more complicated. You're more likely to either run into fakes or have people cut it with other stuff to sell more of it, basically.
Okay.
Why slip fentanyl in meth? Like,
I don't know
kills
if people do
people.
that, do they?
I don't think people do that. They slip fentanyl into like heroin. I think too.
Oh, you're
For-
right.
Because
I'm
with
mixing
opiates,
them.
yeah.
My
for a
mistake.
cheap kick. Because I think that like fentanyl is like not only like many times more potent than heroin, but it's also like many times cheaper. Like I can just use a little bit and give some shitty heroin a kick. Is my guess. Because it goes back to that whole thing where people are like, oh no, people are gonna put drugs in my Halloween candy, and it's like no. People like their drugs. They're gonna put them in their own mouths and eat their drugs because that's what people do with drugs.
That is right. People do.
I will say though, man, the as much as I talk about drugs, opiates are really, really, really scary. Like there are some classes of drugs that I stay away from, but like opiates are like they just, man, opiates are so scary. You got to be so careful with that. It takes a lot to hurt yourself with certain types of drugs, as much as you shouldn't do them or as harmful as it can be, you know. But like opiates, man, that I just had a friend that OD'd like 2 weeks ago, and she died. She's like 23, that I knew in California, and it was because she was up to the point where she was like doing, I guess, crush bags of like fentanyl, like mixing it a little bit. And to see people that are relatively healthy and young, and then can do a drug like that and OD and die. That's really, really scary. That's like
did she look bad on the way towards OD, or did she maintain a pretty normal life?
Outwardly, I don't think you'd ever be able to tell.
Really? You'd have no idea that she
no, absolutely. Oh no, I know this because I didn't even know she did opiates. I had no idea. We'd smoked a couple times, and then my fiance got a message from her mom on Instagram. She's like, hey, just so you know, this person passed away on Friday. We thought it was suicide. I thought she killed herself. And then later on, a few friends reached out, and she just had a bag and mixed a little bit of fentanyl and ended up ODing on it. And it was like, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. I know someone from high school who died from fentanyl and cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
And they OD'd on it, and that's all she wrote. Fentanyl is fucking scary. Like you see those pictures where it's like lethal doses of different drugs, and fentanyl, it's like an amount of like, you could sprinkle that on someone's plate 10 times over and they would have no idea. Like it wouldn't shut. It's just nothing. It's spooky.
Fentanyl became, can I get this out? Yeah. The number one cause of death for adults between 18 and 45. Yeah. Fentanyl overdose.
Jesus fuck. That's insane.
It's like in school when you saw the little uraniums and people were like, oh, 1 speck of uranium, if you inhale it, will give you radiation. It was like nobody really is worried about that. But the fentanyl stuff is real and available. Yeah.
It sucks. And the one thing about opiates, it seems to pull in people who can have their shit together, right? Like I don't know how to say it, but like if you're an alcoholic, it doesn't seem to grab so indiscriminately, right? If people are drinking on a regular basis, kind of signing up for alcoholism almost. I wish I had other good examples, but like other bad behaviors, you kind of opt into them. Opiates, it's like your back hurts for 14 days.
Yeah.
And now you're a drug addict who needs more. And it's like, this is a guy, this was a certified public accountant, right? The pinnacle of careers. And,
he's at the apex.
He managed to get hooked on opiates. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times
I've always been really careful.
Is people like, they get on those pills and then the pill supply runs out. And so they steal from their grandparents or something. I know someone in high school that they're still addicted to painkillers big time now to this day. And he used to steal like hundreds of high dose, like 80 milligram OxyContin from his grandma every single month and like sell it to people and take them. But he is like from a family with a shit ton of money. And so he's never going to go down the heroin fentanyl route. But most people don't have that money. And so they can't afford OxyContin anymore. And so then they go with heroin or they go with fentanyl because like, it's like they still need to get high. They're still physically addicted.
But he might anyway, right? He might be in a crowd that does. Maybe enough opiates and it normalizes the idea of using heroin. Who knows?
Maybe. Tons of people wasn't it like Rush Limbaugh? He was popping those things like candy for many years.
That's why he made it. Was it related to why he went deaf?
I think it can make you go deaf. I don't know if that's the reason he did. If he did go deaf, then that probably is the reason.
Yeah, no,
it is the reason.
Yeah. I can't imagine for the opiates, but for the closest thing I can think of is MDMA. And I've read, because we've done MDMA quite a few times, probably like less than 15 times. But I've read about like what the opiate high feels like. And I will say that like after doing MDMA, for me, who's a relatively cold and disconnected person, it is an unimaginably like when I'm on MDMA, I'm thinking like, you know what? Like if I took enough of this and I died right now, I would be totally okay with that because this is just such an amazing high. If you've never messed with opiates, you are man, fuck, hold on. I'm trying not to romanticize this, but you're touching something that is just otherworldly in terms of feeling. And I don't think people, if you've never felt anything like that before, like I can see how people could get hooked.
Yeah.
Is it easy to get laid when the girls are on Molly?
You can, but for a lot of, you have something called meth dick. A lot of times your dick doesn't work. So I've never had sex on that drug before. But some people supposedly can, but my dick is pretty functional and I'm never able to do it on meth or.
That's how a lot of uppers are.
Wait, did I mix meth and MDMA? I think.
Well, MDMA is also an amphetamine. It's methyl. I don't remember what it's saying, but it has a similar effect to methamphetamine, where meth is also you don't get an erection at all, or generally you don't. Your mileage may vary, but yeah, people, those highs are insane.
What if you mix meth with tadalafil? Let them fight. It's like putting a humidifier and dehumidifier in the same room. Seeing how that goes.
I mean, it might work.
You're not supposed to mix uppers and downers for a reason, but hey, listen, if you want to.
Oh, it's a
vasodilator.
Yeah,
I'm close to that word.
Oh, okay, sure. Right.
Dude, if you there's a meth Reddit. You go to that one, you can hear them talking all about their meth dick not working, and they'll be like, "I smoked meth, and then I jacked off for 9 hours with my not working dick."
Oh my god!
It's like this seems horrible.
The worst part is my skin is like a 4.5 hour skin.
Just trying to get your dick hard for hours.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a it's a anti-diuretic as well. I remember at one point I was standing in front of the toilet feeling I really had to pee for about 2 hours. I just stood there and I was like, okay. And I think me and my family were standing there. I was like, our legs are getting sore. I'm like, but the time will pass so quickly that like you look at the clock and it's like it's 9 o'clock. We chat for a little bit and you look like it's like 12 o'clock. It's like, what the fuck is happening? I don't even know where the time is going. So
we had an ecstasy kingpin on the show, and he said that people would get into cuddle puddles and they'd all just have warm vibes and sort of snuggle together. And that's why I thought that maybe people were getting laid. He never mentioned the meth dick.
It's not really, it's hard to explain, but it's not really like, it's not sexual. It's just very emotional. Like you want to like other people's skin feels really good and like you're hugging somebody and it feels like comforting and emotionally warm or whatever, but it's not really like a sexual, like I want to fuck you. It's more just like, I really want to hug you and tell you all the nice things I can think of about you, basically.
Very tactile.
I can't imagine spooning with some girl and not feeling sexual.
Well, try MDMA sometime and you'll get the feeling.
Yeah. All right, touche. All right.
We need to find the drug that blows you away, Woody. You've been underwhelmed by weed. We need to take you through a gauntlet.
Turns out it's crocodile. He loves crocodile.
That shit did not catch on anywhere but Russia. Do you remember those pictures though from like 2011 where like the newest drug, like Vice was doing a story on it, and it just showed people with like still had flesh on their hand and then like 5 inches of forearm bone and then back to flesh. And it's like there's no way it feels that good to necrotize your forearm.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. I like weed, and acid's awesome. Psychedelics in general seem like a good time, but and opiates are just too scary to fuck with because like whenever I got that codeine cough syrup, I loved it so much. I didn't want anything else ever.
It's so good. Anything else? That's why I'm too afraid to do any opiates. Even try it. Like I don't want to know. I don't want to know how great it is.
Yeah,
be steering clear of it.
It's like warm love in a bottle that tastes like strawberry kisses.
And it hits you on like the level of your soul. Like you'll feel good in ways that you didn't even know you could feel. It's like an undescribable feeling of, oh God, yeah. Like you see like on cartoons, you see people like rolling around on the floor like, oh, and you're like, that's so goofy. It's like, you will. You'll want to. And it'll feel that good.
Man, I wonder how much a bottle of it is worth on the street. Because I remember like a big bottle of it with my prescription was like cheap, like $30 or something. But I think I've heard people like when I got it, somebody was like, "Yo, let me get that. I'll give you $1,500." I think. And I was just like, first of all, this is my goddamn cough syrup that I need. like, fuck you. But really, 1,500? I think somebody offered me something like that for my bottle of codeine. I didn't take it obviously because I wanted my fucking cough syrup. But like, I wonder if it's really that valuable.
I mean,
that's what they make lean out of, right?
Yeah. Because that's the codeine you can drink without it. Like, there's no acetaminophen in it, so it's not fucking up your liver, right?
If you say so. I just remember it was codeine in a fucking bottle and it was really good. I think in some places they flavor it so it tastes awful, so it's really hard to abuse. But in Georgia, they make it taste like candy. It's so good.
Have you ever accidentally taken like too much Nyquil when you've been sick?
I've taken like a bunch. Probably, I just felt really spaced out and like the frame rate on my life went down.
Yeah, it was like maybe 5 years ago.
What a good description.
I was feeling like just dog shit. I had the flu or something, and I took like 2 of the cups of NyQuil, and I think like it was like my 5th day of being sick, and I hadn't been sleeping, and I'm like, today you're sleeping, bitch. Like you're gonna be out. And so I took way too much NyQuil, and I remember like it's like a dissociative feeling. Like you don't know where you are, or like your thoughts don't make any sense. You don't make any sense. Like I remember like laying in bed, and I slept, but it was more like a night terror.
Yeah.
Of like I remember I saw like a big spider looking thing. I was laying in my bed, and I like was in the middle of taking too much fucking shit, and I saw like just a fuzzy thing. I guarantee it was just like a fuzz ball that didn't exist, but I saw it up there, and I thought it probably doesn't know where I am. And so I didn't get scared. But it was like the next day I woke up like not feeling rested, feeling really weird. And it was like, yeah, that was too much NyQuil.
It probably doesn't know where I am.
My thoughts, they weren't making sense. Like I knew on some level my thoughts weren't making sense. Like I would get up and like walk into the kitchen and totally forget anything I'd been doing, any thought I had, like walk back, like nothing was being accomplished. It was weird. I hated it. Like dissociative is the way it makes you feel. Like you're not really in your body. Like it's not really you doing it. It's like you're watching a TV show of someone controlling you.